All right, so that was it. We are at the end. That was the finale, episode 9 of The Last of Us, and I will say this right now: the impact of this show and how it ended is basically the same feeling I got when I completed the game so many years ago. I appreciate the fact that in my current playthrough right now, I haven't gone this far yet. And the last time I played it was still a good several years ago. So my memory is not 100% at the moment. So I feel like I was really affected by the fact that I'm like seeing this transpire all over again. And in a way, not entirely fresh, but it's been long enough that, again, it made me feel the same effect I felt when I originally went through it in the game. And, I'm very curious how a lot of you really reacted to the finale of this season. Because just like the game, it is very ambiguous. It is very open-ended. It leaves you in a way in this kind of major cliffhanger without any closure at all. And mind you, when this game came out and people, played through it and completed it, obviously a huge debate. And I remember how controversial the ending was. Many people I knew loved it, but there are a lot of people out there who just hated it, especially because, again, there was no finality to it. There was no real proper closure, and there was no indication or any kind of insight that there was going to be another game, another episode, another entry into the world of The Last of Us. We didn't know about that until many years later. It was one of those kind of ambiguous endings that I really love. And if you've been following me, if you watch me talk about movies and the movies that I'm really into, those type of settings, those type of like endings, those type of the type of storytelling I really love and I really get into and I really appreciate a lot. And this is what we got. And man, I can't tell you how amazing of an adaptation this has been for a game that came out a long time ago, and being able to see it transpire in live action by these brilliant actors and all that. And speaking of actors, I have to say that it was so refreshing to see a lot of the voice actors actually portray characters in this series. I didn't realize that was Ashley Johnson portraying Ellie's mom in this episode. And for those of you who don't know, and if you didn't watch some of the after episode stuff that they went through, Ashley Johnson was the original voice of Ellie in the video game. So I could only imagine how she felt portraying the mom of such an important character that she's been a part of for a very long time. And it was nice seeing that, because we didn't get those type of scenes in the video game at all. We just hear mentions of Ellie's mom. We hear Marlene kind of like talking to her like kind of spiritually in the game. She's referenced, I think, in a letter that Ellie kept around with her. There was a Last of Us story or book or something like that where I believe she was also mentioned, but we never got to see her. But it was nice to kind of see her in the beginning of this episode, way back when I guess she was put on this planet. And we saw the mom and what she went through in order to protect Ellie. The back and forth she had with Marlene, they were best friends since they were kids. And how Ellie was just loved during that whole time. And it kind of shows and transpires now to Joel, right? How he, in turn, when he once referred to her as cargo, as package, something to deliver, an asset, to now being someone that he needs to take care of, just like his daughter. it's such a major transition from the beginning. But yeah, I mean, we saw Troy Baker in this series. He was the one who originally played Joel. Merle Dandridge, who played Marlene both in this series and in the game, which is pretty damn awesome. And I believe Jeffrey Pierce was also in this series too. And if I'm missing anybody else, please remind me in the comments. But yeah, it was just really nice because we don't get to see that really. You know, there's always been that debate of once you adapt something from another medium to something else, whether it's game to movie to live action, animation to live action, there's always that debate of, well, who should play these characters? I'll never forget when, you know, Ahsoka was going to be portrayed as in live action. There was always that debate, well, are we going to get the original voice actress who did Ahsoka to appear in live action form? And there was a lot of debate and back and forth giving her that chance to do so. But instead, as we all know, they went with Rosario Dawson. And personally, I think that was a right move because, you know, even though, I forget her name, Eccleston or whatever, again, remind me in the comments, even though she did a brilliant job in voicing Ahsoka, she is not really an on-screen actor. You know, there is a difference there. And Rosario Dawson carried the character and portrayed her extremely well. But we see that these voice actors, even though they didn't, not all of them, with the exception of one, didn't portray their same characters. The characters that they portrayed in the series were pretty damn amazing and pretty awesome. And again, kudos to freaking Ashley Johnson for playing the mom of Ellie. Again, the character that she has been attached to for so long. But yeah, it's this series has been quite phenomenal, and this episode was extremely well done. Again, very emotional. The way you begin the episode with that kind of flashback, now going, and then how we ended things here, seeing Ellie extremely traumatized by the events that she went through, seeing her kind of open up once they encounter the giraffes, and, you know, kind of seeing that side of her, seeing her maturity from the journey, you know, Joel just trying his best to be the dad, the protector, saying, you know, we don't have to keep going. Let's just go back to Tommy's and let's just live a happy life together. You know, and Ellie just saying, no, we have to do this. We have to continue. And because all the stuff that was done, that we did, the people that we've lost, the people that they've killed, all that can't be for nothing, right? And then just to have it without her say taken away again, because Joel, you know, didn't want to lose her, didn't want her to die. You know, because the fact that they have to, unfortunately, do the surgery to her brain to take the cordyceps out, in order to replicate them and to produce a cure. He couldn't let that happen, you know, and it's very selfish, but. And again, I cannot speak to this because I'm not a parent myself. I'm pretty sure tons of parents out there will feel the same way, that he did the right thing in trying to protect his child, who he now considers to be his child. He's kind of grown into that role, or put himself in that role. And that at the end there, you knew Ellie was onto him somehow. Like, wait, no, the story that he's telling just seems way too far-fetched. I've spent so much time with this guy already. Like, I kind of can tell when he's not telling me everything. And she's like, she gives him one last chance to tell the truth. Like, you got to swear to me that whatever you just said happened. And he says he swears. And of course, it's a giant lie, but it's a lie in order to protect her. And all she can do is just accept that. And now I haven't played part 2 of the game yet. And I feel like I'm in an awesome position because I'm going to be going into that extremely fresh. And we don't know when season 2 is going to come out. We know it's coming, but we don't know when it's going to come out. But from what I've heard, again, that part 2 of the game is also very controversial. And the grudge that I believe she carries with her, and you know, how she trusts Joel as she's getting older and as they progress in the years, is going to be quite something to see for sure. And Yeah, I'm so looking forward to season 2. We were just informed, if you follow the news, that season 2 is going to be split into 2 seasons, from what it sounds like, because the second game, from what I know, is extremely longer than the first game. With that being said, I kind of do. My only criticism here is that I do feel like a lot of the episodes were kind of rushed, or a lot of the scenarios and the story from the game being adapted were kind of rushed, and maybe they could have spent more time in some stuff, or more time in developing certain scenarios, like the whole David thing. Like, I felt it could have had more of an impact if maybe we had 2 episodes of that instead of just the one, because I did feel like they had to rush through that a little bit. Because it wasn't one of those things where in the beginning we didn't think he could be trusted. I don't know if it's just me, but I felt like in the beginning he was not to be trusted, because he just seemed a little out there, very like cult leader like, and that wasn't the feeling in the game. In the game, I felt like that was more of a revelation, more of like a surprise reveal that no, this guy's up to no good and all that. But again, I'm very curious to hear from a lot of you who've never played the game and how you reacted to this series as a whole. Were you happy with how it ended because of what transpired in this? Are you looking forward to season 2 of The Last of Us when it comes out? Definitely love to hear your thoughts about everything. And similarly with those of you who played the game, and I know there's been a lot of talk on the internet, especially from some certain individuals who just couldn't let go of some certain things, decisions and all that was made, even though it didn't veer too much away from the major source material. So very curious and interested to hear what all of you thought of this as well. For me, my final thoughts on the season as a whole, it was unbelievable. It was well done. Again, this is how you adapt a video game storyline. This is one of the best video game adaptations I've ever seen, period, full stop. I can't even compare to all the other stuff. I mean, a lot of people would say the Sonic movie was a great adaptation, and maybe a lot of you would say Detective Pikachu was another great adaptation. But those are just like nice little happy moments, nice little like, oh, the spirit was there and it captured like all the charm. When it comes to real full adaptations of a serious storyline from a video game, this is how you do it. And they did it extremely well. And because of that, I have full faith that they're going to do season 2 and 3, from what it sounds like, extreme justice when they cover part 2 of the video game. And I am definitely looking forward to how that's all going to transpire. And all video game adaptations from here on out, they have their work cut out for them, because everyone's going to now use this as this is the tier to achieve. This is what you need to do in order to do an amazing job at adapting a video game source material. And so that God of War thing that they're working on, and whatever other video game adaptation that they're working on, Mario Brothers, I mean, that's going to be a little different. That's going to be, kiddie and cheerful and very like charming. And I think that's going to do well. Don't get me wrong. But that's a little different. When we're talking about like serious, like real game story adaptations, they're going to be looking at this as the benchmark. And I don't envy a lot of these studios that are working on future adaptations from here on out. But that's it. That is the last of the reaction to The Last of Us, at least for this season, and the watch-alongs and all that. Thank you so much again for joining me on this journey as we go through the adventure of season 1 of The Last of Us. Again, let me know in the comments your thoughts and feelings of how everything transpired. Again, if you haven't done so yet, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Really helps this channel grow, helps spread the word of the content from this channel. It helps recommend to you more content of this type if you like it. You will find the recap portion of this episode on the podcast channel, the Low-Key Geek podcast channel. So make sure you type in Low-Key Geek on your podcast platform of choice, where you could find this and many other episodes to download and listen to. And one last reminder, if you are in a position to further help support the channel and help the channel grow, don't forget to check out our affiliates in the description of this episode. Most importantly, 80s Tees. Again, if you like this kind of shirt that I'm wearing right now, you can find this and many others like it there. And if you're into pop culture and, kind of throwbacks to 80s, 90s, 2000s and all that stuff, then you're definitely going to love something there. I'm sure you'll find something awesome for yourself to wear or to give to a loved one. But that's it for me for this time. Again, thank you so much. Stay cool, stay classy, stay safe, and I will see you in the next one. All right, peace out, everybody.